Good evening. You find me once again in Dorset, one of the South's most beautiful counties, I think. Not that there are that many to choose from in the South. That's besides the point, isn't it? I'm rambling. I'm back at Corfe Castle, as you can see behind me there, and just about. But I'm here for sunset, and which is in about half an hour or so, I believe. Yeah, pretty much almost exactly half an hour. And so I've just been trying to find a composition, and so this particular one, if I turn it round this way, something like this, I think. So we'll get a little bit of the village in, we'll get all of the walls in. I'm hoping this is all going to be about the sky, because we've got some quite high level cloud here, and my hope is that as we reach sunset, and that cloud, if that cloud remains, then there's a good chance, he says, turning this around again, if that cloud remains, then there's a good chance that the sun will light it up, because on the horizon over this way, which is roughly where the sun will set, although there is some cloud, it's not heavy cloud. Again, it's high level cloud, and so I think we've got the prospect of some really nice colour in the sky tonight. I hope so. It is so long since I had a colourful sunset. So anyway, that's the plan, relatively straightforward. I'm also here because temperatures at the moment are taking a dive overnight. So at the moment it will be about, what is it, 20 degrees, 19, 20 degrees, and it's going to drop a reasonable amount overnight, and that increases the chance at this time of year that we might get some mist in the morning. And one of my bucket list shots for I don't know how long, more than 10 years, has been to get that classic iconic shot of the castle here just poking up above the mist that is surrounding it. It may just not happen, who knows, but it's one of those things you just got to keep coming out and trying it, and so this is another attempt to do that. Right, I'm going to get set up, make sure I don't miss the sunset, get my composition sorted out. Unfortunately, there isn't much foreground interest here. The hill just goes pretty much straight down, and there's nothing really to put between you and the castle, so this is about the castle and the sky. Okay, catch you in a minute. So I thought I might as well show you a little bit of the setup here. So this is the Z7 Mark II, and because I'm shooting straight into the sun here, I've decided to use some bracketing. Now I want to use auto bracketing, so I'm not fiddling with the camera between each frame. And what I have found with the Nikon is that, first of all, it won't do auto bracketing, i.e. take the 3 shots or 5 shots, whatever it is that you want, itself automatically without you pressing the shutter release, unless you have it on timer here. So I've put it on a 2-second timer, which is not a bad discipline to have in any event. And then in terms of the actual bracket settings, I've got my menu system set up so that if I do that again, if I press the information button here, then it's one of the options here, and so if I press on auto bracket there, I just tell it how many frames I want it to shoot. I've put three stop increments here. I did try 2 initially, and I don't think it was quite enough. It might be, I can get away with just a single shot. By the time the sun has gone down, it's behind that hill, the dynamic range will be much, much lower. Anyway, for the moment, I've told it to do 3 stop increments, so 3 shots, one either side of a relatively balanced exposure. And then coming around the front here, nothing clever going on at all. I have no filters on at all. and so we're just going to do this as a straightforward plain shot without a polarizer. There's no great drama going on in terms of the clouds and wanting to pick out cloud details, so I'm just hoping that this milky white stuff up there at a high level will turn a nice glowy orangey red kind of colour fairly shortly. Okay, I'm going to set up the other camera. I've only got about less than 15 minutes to sunset now, so I'm going to put the other one a little bit further around the hill just for a slightly different composition and different focal length. So I thought it might be worth my explaining just a little bit more detail on how I decide whether or not to bracket an exposure. So I've just taken 3 shots, and I'll explain my thinking behind this if I turn this around. So when you look at the back of the screen here, and you look at it in histogram view, then let's just go to the last shot taken, which I think was yeah, right, okay, that one. So so on this shot you can see here from the histogram that we're right up against the right hand edge of the screen, but what this has done by overexposing is it's left the left hand edge of the histogram clear. It's not right up against there, so I know I'm not losing shadow detail there. And then this is the kind of, if you like, middle exposure, but you'll see here we're losing shadow detail. And then this is, oh sorry, I beg your pardon, this is the underexposed one. So we're losing shadow detail, but we're not losing highlights here. And then if we go to the middle one, we're not losing shadows, but we may be losing a little bit of the highlights here. And so that's why I've decided to bracket it, because we might not quite have all the dynamic range that we want in that one, and so I might as well take the shot. If you've got it, and you can use it. If you haven't, you can't. So that's really just how I use the histograms, just to try and make sure that I'm not going to lose data with a shot where we've got really bright lighting conditions, also really dark shadows. I hope that makes some sense. Any questions about that, just write me up in the comments. Well, this could be really frustrating. We're now about a minute from sunset officially, and yeah, it's not really happening at the moment. Not really happening. If I switch around, you can see here, there we go, let it adjust. We've got some sort of smudgy, slightly orange tones on the horizon, and I think it's because the cloud is a bit thicker in the very far distance there, and either that or this high level cloud just goes on for tens and tens and tens of miles, and so the sun is not getting right underneath this high level cloud nearer to us here. So it may not get much better than this, but I'm going to stick around till at least 20 minutes after sunset, because you just never know. The number of times I've walked away from the sunset thinking it's not going to happen, and then I look in the rear view mirror in the car and think, I really should have stayed. Anyway, I'm going to hang around. I'm having fun anyway. I'm listening to a little bit of campanology going on in the village down there. See if you can hear it. I'd be amazed if you can with the microphone I'm wearing, but there you go. Anyway, a little bit of campanology to accompany me on my shoot here. Okay, so while I wait, I thought of something else to say about this whole bracketing business, and once again, if I turn this round, and we're looking here at the back of the whatever it is, D7 Mark II. Looking at the histogram here, see if how close in I can get, if it'll focus. Oh, there we go. Right, yeah, that's not too bad. So, if I use the metering system here on the right hand side and put it to where it thinks on average metering that we're balanced, you'll notice that At the right hand edge, the histogram, there's a lot of spare room here, but it's right up against the left hand edge. And I guess that's because the focus point is right up here in the sky for some bizarre reason. What I actually do is to set my mid-range point, is to adjust the exposure time until we've got, oh, I've just noticed I'm on ISO 100 here, I want to be on ISO 64, let's do that, okay. Adjust the shutter time, so now we're on 1/15th of a second, so that we've got as much balance as I can get. So now actually we've probably got the right sort of dynamic range. We probably don't need to bracket now, but you get the idea. I would set it so that the histogram is as balanced as it can be, and then use that as the center of my 3 bracket shots. I'm just going to check that we've started, right, 2-second timer has gone off. It does that, I don't know why. And we'll press and it will take 3 shots for us automatically, and then we can replay those to have a look. And so that's half a second, and so we've got blown out highlights, but we've got all of our shadows. That's blown out shadows, but we've got all of our highlights, and then that's our mid-range shot there. Okay, that's probably enough about histograms and bracketing, isn't it? But anyway, I hope some of that might have been useful for you. So at the moment it's looking like all the kind of yummy colourfulness is going on over here, which is not where I want it to be, unfortunately, but there you go, what can you do? It's where it is. Hello, it is future Nigel here. Now, out of idle curiosity, I thought I'd just do a little experiment about this bracketing business to see whether or not I'm just not trusting my camera enough, because they have changed so much, and the dynamic range on these latest Z series Nikons is pretty amazing, really. So I have on screen here 2 images, and I've got to say a lot of difference between them. So on the left I have the original high dynamic range panorama that I put together, and next to it I have just the panorama image that I based on the middle balanced exposure that I took. So I was bracketing, I set my balanced exposure using the histogram as I showed you a little bit earlier, and then I took a picture either side of that using the auto bracketing. And I've got to tell you that if we just switch back to normal mode here, so this one is the HDR pano, and the histogram for this one over here versus the shot which is the pano without HDR, they're pretty much exactly the same outcome. I would be, if you showed me these without me being able to see the names on them, I would be hard pressed to be able to tell you which shot is which. And so what that goes to show really is I just need to trust the camera. If the histogram on the back of the camera is not showing me that it's either got blown out shadows or blown out highlights, I can fully recover the shadows and the highlights in that image. And given the level of dynamic range that there was in this picture, I think that's pretty amazing. There you go. Anyway, back to where we were. Well, I think I'm going to call it there. I've done all sorts. It's always a bit frenetic around sunset, and so you don't necessarily get to do all the recording that you want to do. But as you can see, maybe behind me, if I step out of the picture, it may adjust. Let's turn it round. There we go. Right, so yeah, we got a bit of colour. It's not that all over sky colour that I was hoping for, just because of the situation of the clouds on the far horizon there, but we've nevertheless got some really nice blue in the sky, which I'm pretty pleased with. So yeah, so I've tried various panoramas. What am I doing here? Tried various panoramas, and yeah, I just wish I knew how to use this blooming machine. Right, okay. So I've tried various panoramas with both the 15mm lens and with my 24-70. I haven't got the 24-70 out of the bag very often. I thought I'd try it on this one because, do you know, it's a cracking lens. It really is. It's a beautiful lens, and I don't use it enough, and so I first felt this was an opportunity to give it a proper go. So I've got lots of editing to do. It's a long time since I just simply did a sunset shoot, and compared to the Astro stuff, honestly, it's relatively simple. Mostly it's a matter of timing, and to some degree blind luck about whether you are in the right place at the right time. I mean, you can use all the weather apps in the world, and I did for this evening, and it could have been great, but it's been a bit average, if I'm honest. Okay, so there we are. I think I will leave you to the bells in the village of Corfe Castle below, and we'll just zoom in there. It's a rather nice little scene, isn't it? A bit of ambient light shared with some of the street lights as they start to come in blue hour here, so I might just take a shot of that before I disappear. Okay, great. Thank you very much for listening. If any of these shots have been any good, I shall show them to you right now with a little bit of catchy music. Well, it's not very catchy actually. A little bit of music that I've put together for you. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. I hope all that stuff about histograms and bracketing has been of some use to some of you, and if so, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and all those lovely YouTubey things. Thank you very much. Bye bye.